What's up, my little pretties? It's your mistress, Ashawn here, and today we are going to review another episode of The Wizard of Oz animated series that came out in 1990. Now, today this is a part 2 of the first episode called The Rescue of Emerald City, and this is actually part 2 of the episode. So, this takes place, after the first part, so it's basically the first episode, but they actually split into two parts. So, this leaves directly off of what after the ending of the first part. In the second part, we see that Dorothy's with the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Lion, and they get themselves out of being stuck and glued from from the Wicked Witch and their flying monkeys. The wizard gives Dorothy, at the end of the first part that I didn't mention, a key to the Emerald City. So basically, Dorothy and her friends have to go to Emerald City in order to save Toto, but also to get the Wicked Witch of the West out of there. So they basically go on this they go on the flying boat after helping everyone out at Fort Nutcracker. They fly all the way to Emerald City, but we see a part of it where the wizard, gets sent to another place where he basically does some stuff. Now, in this way we can see that there is a part, so to speak, on, where we see the Wicked Witch. But however, though, the Wicked Witch of the West, tells her sidekick Truckle to, let everyone know that Dorothy and her friends are going to be there by nightfall. And she basically has, a little plan to do something with Dorothy. Now, Dorothy and her friends, they go to Emerald City only to find the front locked. So they try to get in, but however, they end up being chased out by guards and the flying monkeys. Dorothy and along with the Tin Man and Scarecrow crash landed somewhere, while meanwhile the Lion, is brought into the Emerald City by the flying monkeys. And of course the Wicked Witch of the West, takes all of their stuff, like the Lion's medal, Tin Man's heart, and even Scarecrow's diploma. And, basically she's taking them and saying you're never getting them back. So Dorothy and her friends, the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, found a way to get in Emerald City, and they decide to flood Emerald City so they can get the Wicked Witch and everyone out of there. Successfully, they flood Emerald City, and they got, everybody out of there. They basically got everyone out of there, and they basically save Emerald City. And of course, they are not sure where the wizard is, so of course, Dorothy and her friends have to, find the wizard so they can kick the Wicked Witch of the West out of Oz. So that basically wraps up for part 2. Now, I understand this one is not as long as the first part, but the first part was a pretty long episode because you could see that, this episode is involving, basically part 2, and it's associating with part 1. Part 1 was just me explaining what the animated series of this is, even though this came out in the 90s. I'm gonna say right now, if you're born in the 90s or born in the 90s, grew up in the 90s or something like that, you may have remembered seeing this show as a kid, which, with all due sincerity, I have seen this as a kid, and I honestly really enjoyed this episode. Now, part 2, I found it that it's a lot more better. The ending was a lot more better compared to the first part. Now, the first part kind of ended on the cliffhanger. But, it's not that I don't like, cliffhanger endings. As long as they're done well, then there's no problem with that. But if it is just a cliffhanger, episode and just splatted on there just for the sake of it, yeah, that kind of, kills the ending of it. So I'm just trying to be, completely honest when it comes to that. However, that's just the case. Now, for this episode, I really have to say the concept was just as good as the first part. And, the ending was just amazing. The fact that all the citizens of Emerald City got turned back to normal after the Wicked Witch of the West moves out of Emerald City after they flood everything. After they try to flood the city so they can get the Wicked Witch of the West out of there. Which, with all due sincerity, they're actually pretty cool, if you can ask me. Now, like I'm going to say right now, that this episode actually did pretty good. Like, the storyline of it was just amazing. Like, the first part, the animation was great, the characters were cool. Well, except for one character, which you probably already know, it's Truckle. I really did not like him in this. I don't understand why people thought it was a good idea because he was never there in the, MGM movie. I think his name was Nico or something, but that was from, the MGM movie, and, I haven't seen the MGM movie in a while. But you know what? This is going to make me watch this series again, even though I haven't seen it in, I just watched the first two parts of, this episode. Like the first, two parts of this series, for the first time in a while, because I remember watching this as a kid on TV, and you can find these episodes on YouTube, so you guys can go check them out if you want. Now, is there anything negative? Only the one character that I didn't like, which was Truckle. Everything else, no. I have nothing else negative to say about it, but except for the Truckle character, I honestly really found this episode to be quite good. There was a lot of great stuff in it, and, the voice acting for Truckle did a good job, but I just didn't like the character. His voice is pretty cool, though. That's the only thing I liked about him, but, everything else was just bleh. But I could definitely say that this episode, did a pretty good job. Although I do feel that maybe they could, provide a little more something when it comes to this episode. But although this episode did a pretty good job, I can definitely say that. Now, like I'm going to say right now, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's okay too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to this creepypastas. Now, that's not a creepypasta. Oh my goodness. Well, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's okay too. Because we're all entitled to our own opinions regards to this episode, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this episode would have to be 9 out of 10. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 because the ending was more satisfying, and the animation was good, the concept, the storyline, the characters, the voice acting did a good job, but the only character I don't like, which is Truckle, which I'm pretty much going to say throughout the rest of it, that's just it. But, this episode did a pretty good job, which I can definitely guarantee that this episode was pretty good. Now, if you have not seen this series, I highly recommend you check them out because I believe you guys will not be disappointed once you see them. Now, anyways, what did you all think about this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this episode a lot better, leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the channel Linus. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you're brand new here to this channel, be sure you like, comment, and subscribe because I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you will get notified to when I upload. And with that said, I will be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.